Put on some hush puppy shoes. Let's play it one time. Woo!
Black Flag is initially a band, as a lot of bands are, friends from high school get together and they're kind of channeling what they like, which is not the stuff that they hear on the radio, but what they buy in record stores and what they hear from their friends. And it's things that are burgeoning in Los Angeles, bands like the Germs and X and other outfits are kind of picking up the mantle of what they hear from New York and London. And Black Flag, given their capabilities, which are limited at best, but their youthful anger, which is high, is able to kind of, put it all together in a way that at least after a bit of practice, they can make work. And they evolve under the auspices of their first lead singer and founder, really, Keith Morris, into a, kind of a lethal hardcore band. So if you can imagine, if you're a punk historian, you would look at the first generation bands like the Pistols and the Ramones and the Damned and those kind of outfits, following just on the heels of that, things start to break apart, and you've got the post-punk bands who take that energy but go in a different direction. Then you've got bands like Black Flag, and they're pretty much the first and foremost of these. They strip everything down from punk. And what happens if you take something that's already been stripped down? You essentially only have a framework, and that's what they've got, this bludgeoning framework. And they combine that with, typical teenage suburban irritations like, parental control, authorities, keeping you down, the cops, not being able to get, enough beer or watch something good on TV. But Keith Morris is tired of touring, and they're not touring anywhere. I mean, they're touring in Los Angeles, but it's a grueling thing. He wants to drink and take drugs. But the ethos that they have, which is that we can do this ourselves. We do not need a major label. We don't need people telling us what to do. All we need is a club, and the fans will come. And if we press some singles and we sell them ourselves through our own label, we're self-contained. We get in the van and we go. And so for a brief period of time, Des Cadena, who fills in between the Morris era and what becomes the most influential era, he's their lead singer. He's a high school friend of theirs, and he does a couple of their well-known singles. So I think 79, 70, 79, 80. But he's not the permanent replacement. The permanent replacement is a big fan of Black Flags, who's in Washington, D.C., Henry Rollins. And Rollins is such a big fan that when they tour, I mean, he knows all the songs. They need a lead singer because Des wants to, go back to playing guitar. He doesn't want to sing. And they hire Henry to be their lead singer.
It was a very odd kind of winning the lottery kind of story, where I went from just some guy working at an ice cream store, managing it, to being, and like 6 weeks later or so, I'm in front of like hundreds of some of the angriest young people I've ever encountered in my life. My first time on stage as the singer, with the entire front row, a bunch of surf crazies looking up at me, telling me I better be good or they're going to beat me up. So I passed muster, and they didn't beat me up.
And he takes them up through the biggest part of their career and their most influential, which is up to the early 80s, I would say 83. By that point, they put out their first record, which is good. It's got Damage, very good as far as that goes. The sound, even for that period, is evolved significantly. The band is ready to, go to the next level. Rollins is not ready to go to the next level. He's getting tired of the whole thing. So he's out of the band by 85. The band is essentially, they continue. The band, some of these things have their internal dynamics. They just go on, even if there's no particular purpose to go on, and they become a caricature of themselves. And, hardcore has a lot of things that become caricatures: stage diving and body slamming and, over the top bellowing and sludgy, slowed down tempos, all kinds of things that in small doses might be okay, but when they become kind of a rote de facto things, it's superfluous to the whole point of the original work. So the band is done, as far as I'm concerned. The band continues as far as other people are concerned. The key thing for me is that you take guy like Keith Morris who's got a vision, but doesn't really have the interest in carrying it through, and you've got somebody else inspired by the vision who's got the strength of and stamina and the willpower to drive it forward for a few more years. And the result is, a body of work that's small, but quite influential. It's an important part of, how punk stays and reinvents itself. It's a good example of the fact that it's still around. I mean, it's still a thing. It's not even necessarily a music. It's an ethos about, do it yourself, work it through, and things can happen. There are a lot of people who would be interested in and would become fans and be inspired by the work you do.
You look through rat's eyes. You can talk about shit real good. You'd always be staring at shit. You are vermin.
Well, put down your Playboy, put on some hush puppy shoes. Let's play it one time.